Okay, there we go. Now I can hear the recording. All right, all things seem to be. See, this is what happens when we don't have the blonde in front.
I know we're just stuck in the
it's-
back on this one.
It's chaos, man. It's chaos.
Yes, it is. Hello, Oz. How are you?
We're doing okay. We're doing okay.
Good.
It's been a little bit of a tumultuous week, to say the least, but we're getting through it.
Good.
We're getting
I'm
through
happy
it.
to hear. Good.
But yeah, unfortunately, Katie won't be joining us today. She's on location doing something. I noticed she's still in there doing her movie thing. She's still been doing that. So you guys check out her blonde in front stuff. You can catch her on Facebook. But hopefully she'll be back for the next one. I always love sitting here and talking movies with Jay, but it's gotten to be sort of a family kind of thing here, and it kind of feels like we don't like it when someone's not here with us. So,
especially on a film like this, where we're gonna have to fill in some of the holes that Katie so elegantly produces the information every single time we're here on Postmortem. So,
right, she does such a,
hopefully you're traveling safe.
Yeah, she does such a great job of kind of framing the movie, premise, and gets ready for us to just unload our opinions. So we will fumble through and get through the best we can. But never fear, Katie. We're thinking about you and miss you, but we'll catch you on the next one. Which we're not sure what we're going to do. I've seen a couple of things pop up that I'm kind of interested in. But I've heard some good things about this new Reef movie. The Reef 2, it's on, I think, Hulu.
Oh, Lord. Well, now I'm out. I got no Hulu, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We just, in fact,
I'm hearing really good things about it. So.
Well, I have no doubt.
I'm a sucker for shark movies.
And that's fine. This summer, Cocaine Shark's hitting the theaters, by the way.
Okay.
I just saw it posted. This July, I think it's hitting theaters. Cocaine Shark. I just saw the post up tonight. I will say that, one of the films I hope we get a chance to cover, well, actually two of them. One is Evil Dead Rises. That's one that looks really good. It's got kind of like a Wreck feel to it. For those who have the found footage movie, Wreck, it's got that kind of feel to it. Also Mulberry Hill, or Mulberry Street. I think that's what it is. Jim Mickles film that goes way back when, about the aspect of Mulberry being infested with rats, and it gives all the tenants rabies, and it's a really crazy film, and it's just wonderful. Going back, it's got to be 15 years now, but nonetheless, it's got that kind of feel to it. And also, They Wait Until Dark, Patrick Ray's film. I hope we get a chance to talk about it. So, because Patrick's a great guy, great filmmaker. And I'll give a senseless plug here. Patrick Ray has a 10 random questions in issue 96 of Horror Hound, currently on newsstand. So you can find out a little bit about him in kind of not a direct interview way. It's kind of just a fun interview that the magazine does each issue. So I've been lucky enough for a while now to be able to do a lot of those 10 random questions. And it gives a voice, Oz, for a lot of filmmakers that you may not know. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At one time, Radio Silence, who directed Scream 5 and 6 now, also Ready or Not, among others, Matt Benelli. Let's go with Matt Olpen, because it seems like there's a hyphen there. Matt Olpen and Tyler Gillett, they were unknowns, and now they're directing the Scream franchise and taking it in a really interesting direction, I would think.
Interesting. That's one way of putting it.
I have a feeling we're going to agree. I love this. I have a feeling we're going to agree tonight. I love it.
But yeah, so minus Katie, we'll definitely get some of her thoughts when we do the next episode. We'll let her touch on what she thought about Scream 6. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just kind of wing it, and obviously
Yeah.
that's what we're here to talk about. We're talking about Scream 6. This one, I gotta say, I really was not planning to see it at all after the last one. After
Right.
5, as bad as that was, and I remember us doing an episode about that. But I saw a lot of chatter, a lot of people were saying it was the best one. I've actually seen some people say that they think that next to the original, this is their favorite in the series.
Scream 6?
Yeah, which I was
Oh,
really
I don't know if I
surprised.
agree with that.
And one of the people that said it was a dear friend of mine, and I was kind of like, wow, if they said this, then I'm gonna really have to give it a try. And I'm gonna have to have words with this person when I see them again. I don't know, but anyway, well, if you want to, do you want to do your best Katie impersonation?
No, I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try. So maybe we'll take a little bit of a different direction because
Okay.
I'll just go by first names. Tyler and Matt of Radio Silence. They direct this. A lot of the same writers are back for this film.
Mm-hmm.
You have James Vanderbilt, you have Gary Busek, and of course it's from the characters Kevin Williamson
Right.
created so long ago when Wes Craven was at the helm of this franchise. And
Right.
other than Courtney, I mean Courtney Cox seems to be the namesake here. You bring Hayden Panettiere back, in a role because she was from Scream 3 or 4. I want to say Scream 3. It feels
they
like
all
Scream
blur
3.
together in the
I
action.
hate to say it, but you're right. And that's going to be something I'm going to get to the heart of. And I think we're going to get to the heart of in just a second. But Hayden Panettiere comes back, of course, here from Heroes. Courtney Cox come back. And Jenna Ortega, the horror it girl right now, returns. And Melissa Barrera, I believe, she's back as well, playing the sister duo in this, along with the brother and sister duo of Mindy and Chad, and Jasmine Savoy Brown, who's also in The Sound of Violence. Really tremendous film. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Really just incredible, really well done. A great audio piece, visually and audio, finding a balance. But also Mason Gooding as Chad. So they're all back. Even Skeet Ulrich is back. Spoiler alert, Skeet Ulrich is back as the reflection in the mirror of de-age, which honestly looks pretty terrible.
If they didn't learn their lesson the first time, they had to throw it in there again. That's I mean, it was
at the crux of it, they're in New York City. They're pulling from a lot of different 1980s films.
Yeah, Ghostface Takes Manhattan.
Exactly, which a lot of people love and a lot of people hate. It's very polarizing for this one. But they're in New York. They're trying to start a new life a year later. And of course, Ghostface shows back up. I mean, at least one incarnation does. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to kick it off with this. One of the few things I really liked about this film was the fact that they brought back nostalgia from the previous installments with when they did the kills, including the opening scene kill. They brought back at least, I guess, replicas, but in the film, they're the actual masks from the different killings and the different killers, which I thought was really smart. I really liked that aspect of it because, I thought that was a very respectful way to pay tribute without putting it, without bashing us over the head. But that aside, they decide to bash us over the head for the rest of the movie because this installment is stale. It's time. And I honestly, Oz, I don't know if we really need to give away who the killers are in this movie, because I think that's a staple of Scream. I'll leave it up to you, but
I'll tell you right now.
You don't care?
10 minutes in. No, this is to tell you how obvious it is.
Yep.
Blake, who is not a movie, he knew who it was within 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yes. And he's not a movie guy. He's not like me. I mean, granted, In a lot of ways he is, in a lot of ways he's not, but he's not like me that will sit and watch movies over and over and dissect them and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, he's not like me that goes to the movies all the time. And yeah, he he had it pegged
Yeah,
right off the bat.
I halfway through the movie I figured it out, but to be honest with you, it's it it's almost like they're not even trying. I'm sorry. It
Well,
really isn't like they're
I
not
thought I
trying.
had the same thought, but I was like, that's too obvious. I was
Yeah.
like, it can't be. It's too obvious. And then like, oh my God, yes, it really was. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
he
really
was
was.
right.
And some people really feel that they did a great job with the film. Honest to goodness, you could have done so much more with New York City than what you did.
Oh
You
yeah.
basically took a small town story, threw it into a big town, a big city, and did nothing with it. You did nothing with it. The kills
Other
are maybe a little more creative, a little more gory, but man, they dropped the ball on this.
well, that's and I was gonna say that's one of my points too, is that they tried to make up with the gore
Yes.
and try as a shot, when where there was lacking in the film. And aside from to kind of go off of what you said, what they could have done so much more with New York, aside from the ghost faced museum, that was really the only
Yes.
thing
The
that
shrine.
yeah, the shrines. Yeah. Come on. And to me, that was ridiculous.
But
I mean,
that's where they could have done well, Oz. They could have made it the cult of Ghostface, and it would have been so much more interesting than what they did. And that's what I really thought it was going to be, the cult of Ghostface. And I even felt, and for some people, I'm surprised you're not more disrespected, that Ghostface is picking up a shotgun and shooting Jenna Ortega's character and Melissa Barrera's character in this convenience store. I mean,
right. Yeah.
come on, they could have done so much more with it. And they just sat there. And Radio Silence, Oz, is a great duo. They're a great filmmaking duo. Anyone who saw Ready or Not has seen their previous works. They're great filmmakers. And actually, honest to goodness, I think that they were good people to take on for the next series of Scream movies.
Do you
But
think their
whether
hands were
it's the
tied?
writing, I gotta believe that they were. I gotta believe, because this feels like a movie that the writing team, it's the same writing team from the previous ones, said, this is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And guess what? You might have some creative freedom to do this and this, but guess what? We're not going to do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to change certain things. Oh, you are? Yeah. Instead of Ghostface using a knife, he's going to use a shotgun. So is this Ghostface with a shotgun now? Should we get Jason Eisner in here to direct it? I mean, it's absolutely freaking ridiculous. And I'm not someone who's a traditionalist going, oh, he has to have a knife. He has to do this, whatever. But it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't have to be a knife.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And I wonder too if they had ideas on directions on how to take it, and they were told no.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you mentioned the call to Ghostface. With all those, I was fully on expecting when the shots that you see in the trailer and the still shots where you see all those ghost faces in
Right.
the lair or whatever. How cool would it have been if they all like took a step forward at the same time?
That would have been fantastic.
That I would have been like, holy shit,
Yeah.
And I think everybody else would have too. But
Yeah.
it was, they're all just mannequins.
They're all
dummies.
they're all dummies and mannequins. Spoiler alert. Sorry, spoiler alert with it. But I gotta tell you something. They took that card where they could have done the cult aspect, and they played it in the first act, and they went ahead and they watered it down. They just dumbed it down for people, saying, okay, these two guys, they're trying to be imitation killers. We played that card already. Okay, well, maybe they're part of a cult. Oh, you mean they're not because they're gonna kill? It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous. It's a beautiful movie, but other than how beautiful it looks, because it's shot really well.
It is shot well.
And it's the cinematographer who's worked a lot with Radio Silence on their previous films. So they have that shorthand with it. That all the characters just about predictable, boring, stale. I don't know what other words you want to use for it, because I'll tell you, there's almost no emotional value to it. And by the way, and this is not something I pointed out, but when I think about it more, it bothers me. And I don't mean to be get off my lawn man here, But talk about the height difference between Sam and Tara. And Melissa Barrera's character and Jenna Ortega's character. Thank God for the cinematographer shooting it the way that he did, because if he didn't, that final scene when they're walking away after the battle with Ghostface, or the Ghostface family, whatever you want to call them, spoiler alert, I mean, it's awkward to see the height difference. Now, for most people, it's not going to bother you, but for me and Susan, who went with me, it kind of really bothers me, because it just feels like they don't. It looks like you have a 20 some odd year old woman and like a 13-year-old kid, because that's what Jenna Ortega looks like. She looks like a 13-year-old kid. She really does fit the frame for Wednesday Addams, and it just doesn't work. Maybe it worked in 5. 5 was okay, but 6 it just doesn't. That emotional weight there, it just doesn't work for me. You know, maybe it works for others. I don't know what about you, Oz? How does it work for you?
It worked a little bit better than 5.
Okay.
I mean, to me, 5 was just, I mean, nearly unwatchable, and honestly, and I mean, there was so much that I can't even. Like I said, part 5 is the reason why I had no intentions whatsoever of seeing this film. And then obviously with Sidney Prescott not being in the film,
Yes.
that was a big, it was obviously, and it's kind of funny because at the same time, there's another movie in the theater that it's the #1 movie and everybody's raving about it. But honestly, when you get down to the core of it, a core character is missing from it, and it's so telling, and it so pulls away from the movie. And I'm talking about Creed 3.
Yes.
Not having Stallone, not having Rocky in that franchise, in it, that movie pays for it.
But I will say this though, and I'm not as much as you are about this, because I have no issue. I liked Creed 3. I'm not the biggest fan.
I liked it.
But I think Creed 3 stands more on its own feet, no pun intended. That's what Michael B. Jordan said. He wants the character to stand on his feet. I think it stands more on its feet than what they did writing off Sydney until Scream 7 or Scream 8, whenever she comes back, because she's going to come back for a paycheck sooner or later. Oh, I mean, I can tell you, what was it, 2 years ago, when things started to kind of open up? Yeah, 2 years ago, when Nev Campbell was on the festival circuit with Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard, and they were doing things. I remember being at a convention, and she was charging $75 for an autograph and picture, which now in hindsight, why these, especially Comic Cons, but even horror cons, they are charging a lot of money to be able to get autographs now. It's becoming it's almost to a point, and her line was almost nothing. And that's the problem with it. She is known for Scream. And she's known for Scream, and that's it. So to write her off that she's trying to keep her family safe, really watered down, really, I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with it. I don't know if you could find a better reasoning. Maybe I'm absolutely wrong, Oz, about it, but it feels kind of cheap, to be honest with you. More than Rocky not being there.
Yeah, well, and the issues that I have with Creed 3 are not, I mean, yes, there's a void there without Rocky in there somewhere, even as a cameo. But the biggest problem I had with that film was that it's ridiculous that a fighter, regardless of the circumstances, makes his professional debut in a title match. That is not going to happen. That is just not going to happen. Just at least have the guy, throw the guy a bone, okay? Throw a guy, some guy in there to just. I mean, there was plenty of time in that movie that they could have thrown 1 or 2 shots in there to have some meat bag in there that he just beats the hell out of, and then at least 2 fights, and then he says because of who he is, that's why he's going to get this shot. That would have been so much more believable. But that completely took me out of that his pro debut is for a title. That's just ridiculous. Even Brock Lesnar in the UFC, when he went from WWE, he had 2 fights, 1 dark fight and then 1 pay-per-view fight before he got a title shot against Frank Mir. But still, okay, all right. We're talking about. I can't believe that
I was going to say, I can't believe that bothers you that much with it. But I understand where you're coming from with it, because I sit back and, for me, I didn't have as much an issue with it because, for me, I understand how the narrative works when it comes to that. And I'm suspending disbelief when it comes to it. But in the same breath, you're right. They could have put so much more into Creed 3, another half an hour. And I guarantee, because the fight sequences are beautiful, just like, again, Scream 6, the murder sequences are really, really done
The
well.
kills are good. Yeah, the kills are really
they're
well
done
done.
very well.
They're really well done.
But when you find out the end result, why, these ghost faces come back and why they're doing this, and obviously without saying anything on who it is, getting vengeance for someone, because that seems to be the motif of every single Scream movie in one way or another. You can see by all the Scream mannequins that are in the showcase there. But going Oz sitting there, it kind of dumbs it down. It really kills the buzz of what it could have been, and it kills the buzz for the actual killings. The one on the subway, you can see the picture behind me. I thought the one on the subway was going to be a lot cooler than it was. Mm-hmm. What a disappointment! But
the way it was shot, though,
with was beautiful. The lights, I loved it.
Yes,
loved it. Yes. Built suspense. It was great with it. Loved it. But then, just like you said with Creed, they pull out that emotional component because they try and cheapen it by making us believe. And by then, you already know who is who. You know who the killers are, and it just bums you out because it could have been so much more.
Well, and like you said, the whole reason why is it's always revenge. It's always because I was wronged, or
right.
And from my point of view, I was wronged, or something like that. This would have been such, the nostalgia factor that you kind of touched on at the beginning. It would have been such a great way to go back to one of my favorite characters, who I thought stole the very first movie, Matthew Lillard's character.
Yeah,
okay? Billy Loomis, yes, he had a motive, but if you go back to when Stu was talking about it, when he's talking about it with Sydney, and they're talking about it was fun, I mean, just have somebody that's just because they think it's. I mean, if nothing, it brings Stu back.
Yeah, but if you bring Stu back, see, this becomes the problem. Everyone wants Matthew Lillard back. Matthew Lillard is a great guy. Matthew Lillard's a great guy. He deserves as much success as possible. But honestly, why are you bringing this character back? Nostalgia? If that's the case, then do another mirror reflection and have both of those killers in Sarah's or Sam's head. Have both of them in her head, because that's one of the things I really do like. That's one of the things I would have liked to have seen more, is the psychological profile of Sam breaking down. Melissa Barrera. I'd love to see her now take it on, because one thing that the franchise has missed is really the conflict of Sidney Prescott and what's happened to her, and the psychological toll it's taken on her. She has taken the final girl survivor trope forward, but you never see anyone question her at all since the first movie on what's going on. And even in the first movie, they don't question her. Every once in a while you might hear a whisper about her psychological, the issues she's having, but it's not like what we're seeing with this character of Sam, which I'm really, really enjoying. And that's, again, one of the few things I enjoy. And I want to see that developed in Scream 7. And honestly, Oz, I put up a post that on Facebook that said, I saw two franchises this weekend, a paraphrase, two franchises this weekend. One was Scream, one was Children of the Corn. I didn't say their names, but I think people got it. Well, they didn't. And you should have saw some of the posts I got from it, because of the fact that I said that I hope this is the end of the franchises. People explaining how the process works, people going ahead and tell me I'm wrong. Some people happy to see a post like that.
How dare you have your own opinion?
Exactly. It's like, please stop. All right, please stop. I know it's not going to stop. I know there's going to be Scream 7 and a Scream 8 and a Scream, up the wazoo, whatever it is. But you got to reach a point where you've got to find something original. And Sam's mental state, the cult of Ghostface, which you could have taken a page, Oz, out of the Batman, what the Riddler did, what the narrative was that Matt Reeves directed. It was tremendous, because just when you think you've got the Riddler caught, all of a sudden it's so far deeper down that rabbit hole. and it's a nice reflection on a darker part of our society. And they could have easily done that with Scream 6.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I did want to say that I actually kind of forgot that he was even in this movie was it was kind of good. It was kind of nice to see Dermot Mulroney.
Oh, he's a great actor.
Yeah, I mean, I loved him. It was funny because I looked over to Janelle when he first appeared on screen, and I was like, oh man, I always liked him so much. It's so funny because people don't even recognize him in Young Guns.
No, that's going back, dude.
Yeah, but if you look at it, it's like, wow, that can't even believe it's him. But I looked over Janelle and I was like, oh man, I loved him in Copycat. And she didn't even recognize because he was so young in Copycat. She was like, who was he in Copycat? And I was like, he was Ruben. He was her partner that she was, training, and gets shot and dies at the end. It's so sad. But he was so, it was kind of funny that he comes back as a cop in this one, so.
Well, yeah, but he's
typecast. He's always seems to be playing a cop for some reason.
Well, he's got that warm figure where he can play it. He can go between, good cop and bad cop, and he does a good job in this movie. I mean, I kind of like the turn he takes at the end. I kind of like how he's able to take on that kind of, psychotic turn at the end. No spoiler alert, sorry, but you kind of see it. You kind of see it towards the end. And granted, I thought it was more of Hayden Panettiere towards the end and what she was doing.
I did too.
But which was a nice twist in the curve. But honestly, in the end, it really didn't matter. It's I don't know. I hate this. I hate to say that because Children of the Corn, the remake was god awful. And it's god awful. Oh my god. The acting is terrible.
I thought about going to see it. I thought about it.
Maybe you like it. If you like cheese, this is perfect for you then.
I wasn't crazy about the first one, to be honest with you.
No, they try and take the idea of the first one and they try and twist it like they've done with all the other sequels. And that's again, at least with Children of the Corn, they tried to reinvent it with a little bit of a different one. There's some good characters in there, but overall it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess overall with this, I had a little bit higher hopes after seeing people's reactions and saying how good it was, and but honestly, it's just I gotta say it's just barely better than the last one, and the last one really was really bad. And that's just my personal opinion. Me personally, I like the Chad character. His death was the only one that seemed that made me even remotely care about any of
I would agree with that,
and that includes Gail Weathers. It didn't bother me, Shit, she survived way too much by now. She needs to go. It's just for her to survive another one. It's a problem. I liked that they let her put up a fight at least, because that's the one thing that I've always hated. And it always seems like someone either gets killed so easy or whatever. Very rarely do you ever see someone like really put up and die hard.
Yeah.
And put up a fight or chase. There's a few films that I've seen where they've let that character expand a little bit and it didn't just dispatch him so easily. And I was kind of glad they kind of did that with Gail on this one.
One
thing I wish it was Dewey in the last one, but
I know. Dewey and David Arquette is missed in this film because his comic timing is sorely missed when it comes to it. But it's kind of funny to piggyback off of what you said in the comic timing. One of the things I did like a lot was that the go back to the music when they enter the town and the after the first killing. I really liked it. I liked the nostalgic feel of the music. The score they end up doing, and make sure I've got it right because don't want to disrespect composers. Brian Tyler who's done a lot of amazing movies, and then Faulkner, he's another one. I mean, when you're dealing with him, Brian's done everything from Marvel movies to thrillers to horror, so he has an understanding of how to pace it. But to bring back a lot of the original music, and
especially Dewey's theme.
Exactly. And one of the things I love is also how, and again, I'm a big fan of Scream, of the first one. I like the first, I like the second a lot. After that, for me, they kind of just went away. And a recommendation, watch all the Scream movies one after the other. Man, you pick up things you never picked up before. I did 1 through 4, much bigger appreciation for the later films than I would have had. But when they've got Taryn, they've got Sam, and they've got Gail, and they come out after the killing, and it's that interaction that Rose McGowan's character and Neve Campbell's character had with Courtney Cox in the first film, where she's like, "Oh, I've done this before," and Jenna Ortega just goes around, bam. It's great to be able to see that. And I'm not really as a nostalgic kind of horror fan for the most part, but to see that one part in an ocean of just stale, repetitive, reproduction of the previous films, it's nice, and it's one of the few beats I thought that worked that was from the previous films.
It was 100%. It was, Gail steps back. Oh, Gail learned how to slip a punch, but oh wow, she's got she needs to have her head on a swivel, which peripheral a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, and I think possibly, I mean, what really kind of made me smile on the inside more than anything was when they mentioned Dewey, and then they did, like you said, they played that music. It was kind of like Dewey's theme. Like anytime Dewey would show up, you heard that little dun, 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 kind of like Luke Skywalker has his own, music, his Tatooine music when he shows up. Dewey, not to compare Dewey to Luke Skywalker, but
I was gonna say,
but Dewey shows up and he has his own little, music that shows up. It was really nice to hear that and see that, his drawings and stuff, and even though his actual likeness wasn't used, but I mean, it was nice to see that they did at least allude to him a little bit. And
I agree.
And to even to get into Gail's head a little bit before she goes, to say how she wasn't there when he was, just to get in her head a little bit, talking some trash about how Dewey went out, to piss her, to really get her off her. That was kind of a surprise.
Well, there's again, and I'll bring up, Hayden's character of Kirby. It's nice to be able to see her back. And one of the things that the franchise has done well is to bring back some of these key characters. But again, it's cheapened by the fact that Gail is kept alive. Spoiler, she's kept alive after going through a brutal assault, which just about every other character would have killed them. And that's fine. That's good. That's good they do. But to have those musical nods and stuff like that is nice. And again, I'll say Dewey is missed very much in this film.
Yeah. I guess I'm not sure how I missed this, but Jasmine Savoy Brown plays. Did I hear she mentioned something that she is Randy's cousin or niece or something like that?
I think, I believe they're both. The twins are cousins.
Yeah.
Or niece or something. Yeah.
So she was some relation.
They're a distant relative
to Randy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Uncle Randy. So
it
was Uncle Randy would be what? Uncle Randy would be nephew and niece, I would guess.
Yeah.
So
and that's one of the guy that I really thought was missing after the first 3 movies. I always missed Randy.
Thank you for saying that, because one of the worst parts is when they went back over the rules. Please stop with this.
We've been there. We've heard that how many times?
and you're trying to bring it up. You're trying to get you're trying way too hard. I'm sorry. We didn't need that. We didn't need that. We didn't need that even a little bit. You guys straight. There's certain things, again, I love about that they brought the nostalgia back to sports. That was when I sat there and basically shook my head saying, you didn't need to do this. We don't need to try and recreate the first film, which in a lot of sense, I hate to say it, but Radio Silence kind of recreate the first film with a bigger canvas. And New York City looks beautiful. And it's,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't work with the small time feel in the big city.
Right. And I think that's what they tried to make them seem like small fish in a big pond, which is
Yeah.
ultimately what they
Hiding
would
in a
have
big
been.
city.
Yes. Yes. So I don't know. Take it for what you want, what it's worth, guys. I mean, if you're loyal to Scream and maybe wait until it's streaming.
Oh, see, I disagree with that.
I mean,
I would say go see it. As much as
we saw it in the theater next to you, and I mean,
yeah, we saw it normal. We didn't go for anything special with it. But I will say this, it's Radio Silence is a great duo. They do wonderful work, whether you like this one or not. I always say about supporting them for a lot of the stuff that they've done. But this film, why it's a rehash and it's a regurgitation in a lot of areas of the Scream franchise. You know what you're coming in for. There's a couple twists to it. It's definitely a date movie for sure.
mm-hmm.
And it's one that you could sit down and enjoy. If you're going to be anal retentive like we are, maybe wait till streaming.
Yeah, I mean, and as much of a movie, as I am, I mean, I love seeing things on a big screen. I really do, especially if it's something I'm amped about. If it's something I'm a big fan of. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're a hardcore Scream fan, and if you're gonna invest your time and money into anything that they put out that says Scream on it, just because it says Scream on it, and you want to know the full scale of the story and how it comes together, then by all means go ahead and go see it, check it out. If you enjoyed the later movies in the Scream franchise, you'll probably dig it. But there's a few little things there's some things that it's by far not a perfect film. It's not going to be anything groundbreaking. It's not going to be anything that you haven't seen before. I think they could have done better.
Yes,
Where I'm going with it.
They could have taken a safe foundational piece in modern horror and ran with it a little bit, because people still would have came out to the theaters to see it. Yeah.
Fair enough. So if you've enjoyed our content, man, please make sure hit the like button. It helps us out. Drop any comments. Subscribe. Let us know what you think. Saw our numbers took a hit with the Cocaine Bear. I was really shocked with that. I don't know what was going on with that, man. I was expecting, to see some decent, turnout with with as big a hit as the Cocaine Bear ended up being. So I was kind of surprised at that, but
well, I hate to say it, but just like the concept of Cocaine Bear, maybe people aren't digging it as much, because I didn't look at the drop in numbers, but I didn't hear much about it being number one after 1 week.
Yeah,
so so people are watching. Check out the Cocaine Bear episode, because Katie really is method when it comes to her craft. She's all covered with powder.
Absolutely. And actually, you know what? One thing I didn't mention on this episode, when I went back to see the Cocaine Bear the second time when I took Brandon, there was two like older ladies, and I say older, not like Golden Girls older. I mean older than me. But they were sitting over across next to, a little ways down in the same aisle as Brandon and and I had almost as good a time just listening to them just cackle, and man, they had a ball watching that movie. They were, belly laughs. They were loud, almost not quite obnoxious, but almost to the point where, if I was one of those people who, doesn't like anybody making noise at the movies, I'd probably get annoyed. But I was kind of like looking over, like, they're having a good time, I like that. But I had it, and they were getting ready to get up and leave, and I was like, oh, no, hold on, it's not over yet. So that they could see the bonus credit scenes, and they appreciated that. But I don't know, did you happen to notice the bonus credit scene for Scream?
No. What was it?
I couldn't see the screen. I was actually walking around the corner because we always wait because like everybody, it was packed anyway. So we wait and it like because by the time we get all our junk together and stuff, because I feel bad for those people who have to come in and clean those theaters. So I always try to make sure I throw my stuff away. I know some people are like, "Hey, that's job security for them, whatever." We try to throw our stuff away.
Absolutely.
Plus, I'm always bringing home a large damn popcorn. I used to be able to sit and eat a large popcorn during a movie. I eat the like cresting of the top off, and then I'm bringing home the rest of it. But anyway, so we're getting our stuff together, and as we're walking out, I just saw I don't know which character it was, but one of them pops out and says, "Not every movie needs a post-credit scene," and then it
Oh,
goes
that's
off.
so dumb.
Yeah,
That's so dumb.
it was just kind of like I just kind of laughed because there was people standing there waiting. Oh, I heard it. There was a post-credit scene.
Yeah, what are they gonna do anyway? Whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever. It
I just thought
reaches
it
a
was
point
funny.
where it's too much now. It's
Yeah.
it's just too much.
Because sometimes they do one and sometimes they do three. It's like,
Oh yeah. Well, the Marvel movies, even the Marvel movies post-credit scenes are starting to become disappointing now. You
yeah,
know, because they paint themselves into a corner where the expectations are so high now that they could have a really cool one.
what happened? We lost you. Oh, there
I'm
we go.
here.
Got you back. You froze up for
Okay.
a second.
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. So yeah, they paint themselves in the corner where it could be the coolest thing ever, but the expectations are so high. But one thing I will say before we jump off is that Cocaine Bear is really the Lake Placid of this generation.
Yeah.
Is really that movie. It's this generation's Lake Placid. There really is. Because that when you talk about the two older women cackling and laughing, that's what Lake Placid was. That's why it's so successful because of talent like Betty White. Because able to bring in another generation. And obviously, you look at it with some of the talent that's a part of Cocaine Bear, they're able to draw people from different walks of life and different ages.
So there's actually a cocaine shark movie that's
I saw it today, and you got meth croc or crocodile meth or whatever
meth
it is.
gator. I thought you said
Meth gator. There you go, meth gator. That's right. I said that last time. Yeah,
Yeah.
meth gator. Oh my God. So we'll have to
Wow.
wait, but hopefully, folks, we will see you for next time. And we've still got several the Pope's Exorcist coming out. We got Evil Dead Rises coming out.
Yeah, Evil Dead
They wait
Rises
until dark.
looks pretty creepy.
Yep.
They showed the trailer before we saw Scream. It's not really Janelle's kind of thing, but it looks creepy enough that I'll probably check it out. So
Well,
we
it
can
played.
absolutely do an episode on it.
It played tonight, actually, when we're recording at South by Southwest in Austin. So, it's March 14th. So the 15th, look for reviews because it ought to be very interesting to see what people say. Because a lot of big films, John Wick 4 played at South by Southwest, which highly recommend if you want to go to a place that's Disneyland for film fanatics. South by Southwest is the place to go. Absolutely amazing.
All right. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Any final thoughts? I think we've both kind of got it as check it out if you don't have anything else to do. You want to get your Scream fix in.
Yep.
Minus Sidney Prescott. But might be worth checking out. If not, wait for streaming, whatever. And hopefully, you guys drop some comments, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. We love all your faces.
We do.
Convention season starts this month too. So, you might see some of us around at some of the conventions. So say hi. I'll have some swag, some posters, hopefully some t-shirts, some stickers, things like that.
Amen. Amen. We love you and we thank you for your support. And see you next time.
We'll see you at the movies.
We won't be the
blonde who's in front.
Katie will be the blonde down in front.
And we are the brunettes in the back.
Oh, yes. Well, bald right now, but
All right. Take it easy.